I want you to just picture a scene for a moment, one that, well, thousands of people go through every year. You're in a doctor's office, it's sterile, it's a bit too cold.
That antiseptic smell.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the doctor looks at you and says a phrase that just splits your life in two, a before and an after. The phrase is, you have Parkinson's.
Alexander Reed, the founder of the center we're looking at today, he calls that moment an atomic bomb. And it's such a visceral image, isn't it?
It really is. Because in that single second, the future you had planned out just evaporates.
All of it. The retirement, the travel. It feels like it's all just gone. You're left standing in the rubble.
And what I found so shocking in the research was what happens right after that bomb goes off. You'd think there would be this, this huge intervention, a roadmap.
A crisis team, something.
Right. But the standard of care that's described is, well, it's incredibly hollow. It's a 20-minute appointment, a prescription for a pill, and a polite see you in a year.
Yeah, that's the maintenance mindset that Reed talks about. It's so common. The focus is all on the biology, managing the tremor. But the person, the human being, is just sent home.
And that creates a vacuum, right, where fear and isolation just rush in. You feel like a victim.
And that's the gap we're diving into today. We're looking at the European Parkinson Therapy Center in Borio Terme, Italy. And from the very beginning, they just smash that model.
Yeah, they say it right up front. We are not a hospital, we're a school.
And that one word changes everything. It's the core of their entire philosophy. You go to a hospital to be fixed. You're passive.
The doctor's the one doing the work.
Exactly. But you go to a school to learn. You're the student. You have to do the work. And since there's no cure for Parkinson's right now, waiting to be fixed is just a trap. It's helplessness. But learning to live with it, that gives you back control.
So the curriculum for this school, it starts with a total rebranding of the brain itself. They say we need to stop seeing the brain as a Victorian machine and start seeing it as a garden.
I love that metaphor, the Victorian machine. That's the old view, right?
Right.
Like a clock or an engine from the Industrial Revolution. It's all cogs and gears.
Right. And in that model, Parkinson's is just a broken gear. Some neurons have died. And in a machine, if a gear breaks, the whole thing just slows down and stops.
And you can't fix it yourself. A broken gear doesn't just grow back.
No. So if you think your brain is a machine that's breaking down, the only logical response is, well, it's despair.
It breeds passivity. You just watch it fall apart. But the garden model, or a forest. Imagine the brain as a forest, and neurodegeneration is a big tree falling across your favorite path.
Okay, so the path is blocked.
The path is blocked. But the forest doesn't die. The ecosystem is still alive. And you don't stand there trying to glue the dead tree back together.
No, that's impossible. You'd go around it, you'd make a new path.
You'd trample down the undergrowth and forge a new path. And that right there is a perfect image of neuroplasticity. The whole goal shifts from obsessing over the dead neurons, the fallen tree, to strengthening the healthy ones to take over.
So it's not about cure, it's about adaptation.
Right.
But I have to ask, is that just a nice poetic idea? Or is there actual hard science that says you can really forge these new paths?
Oh, there is. And it brings us to this incredible story, one of my favorites from the research, the tandem bike discovery.
This was amazing. It involves a neuroscientist, Dr. Jay Alberts, who's also a serious cyclist.
A very serious cyclist. So he's doing this huge charity ride across Iowa on a tandem bike. He's in the front. And on the back is a friend of his who has Parkinson's.
And because he's a pro-level rider, he's churning. He's setting a blistering pace.
And she has no choice. Because they're linked on the tandem, her legs are forced to move at a speed she could never generate on her own.
Okay, so they do this for hours. And then what?
They get off the bike at the end of the day, and something impossible had happened. Her tremors were just gone.
Gone, like completely.
Completely. And her handwriting, you know how Parkinson's can cause micrographia, that tiny, shaky writing? Hers is suddenly clear, legible, normal. Wow. But, okay, we all know exercise is good for you. Was this just a really good workout? A runner's high?
That's what they had to figure out. And the answer was no. It wasn't just exercise. It was the rate of the exercise. They found a magic number.
Which was?
Between 80 and 90 rotations per minute, RPM.
Okay, for anyone who's not a cyclist, 90 RPM is fast. That's spin class instructor yelling at you fast.
It's intensely fast. And here is the absolute key. It is a rhythm the Parkinson's brain would never choose on its own. The disease literally tells the body to slow down, to shuffle, to conserve energy.
So you have to override that signal.
You have to force it. You have to move faster than your brain thinks is safe.
So what is happening in the brain at that speed? Why does 90 RPM work?
It triggers the release of a protein called BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor.
Right, I've seen this called miracle grow for the brain.
That's the perfect analogy. It's fertilizer. It nourishes synapses, protects neurons, and it facilitates that new path creation we were talking about. It makes the soil of the garden fertile again.
There's a catch, a very cruel catch. The disease makes you want to stop moving, but the only way to get the fertilizer is to move harder and faster than you want to.
The catch-22, the disease takes away your motivation, but intense movement is what holds it back.
Which is exactly why just telling someone to go exercise so often fails. They need a framework.
Yeah.
And that's what this center built. They call it the Regen Protocol.
Short for regeneration.
Yeah.
And it's built on 4 pillars because, as they say, a house with only one wall can't hold up the roof.
I like that.
So let's walk through these. Pillar number 1 is medicine.
Which is interesting because a lot of wellness centers are kind of skeptical of pharmaceuticals. These guys aren't.
Not at all. They're very pragmatic. They call medicine the foundation, levodopa specifically. But they don't see it as the cure. They see it as the fuel.
The fuel.
Yeah. You can't do that high-intensity biking if your muscles are rigid. You can't even get on the bike. The medication unlocks the body so you can actually do the therapy.
And I thought this was key. They have a strict rule that they don't change a guest's prescription. That's right. They're not the doctors. They're the trainers. They respect the relationship with the home neurologist. They're there to optimize the living, not the prescribing.
Okay, so the fuel's in the tank. Then comes pillar 2, movement. But they don't call it exercise. They call it neurotherapy.
And that distinction is so important. Exercise can be mindless. You know, walking on a treadmill, watching TV, that's good for your heart, but it's not rewiring your brain. For neuroplasticity, you need to think before you move.
Think before you move. Sounds simple, but I imagine it's exhausting.
They use a great analogy. If you break a rib, it hurts to sleep on your side, so you have to consciously force yourself to sleep on your back.
Right, and the first few nights are terrible. You keep telling yourself, don't roll over, don't roll over.
It takes conscious effort. But eventually your brain adapts. Sleeping on your back becomes the new normal. With Parkinson's, the body's hardware is fine. It's the software, the autopilot, that's glitchy.
So you have to switch to manual control.
Exactly. If your brain's default is a tiny shuffling step, you have to consciously think big step. You have to visualize it. That conscious effort is what forges the new neural path.
And they use tech to help with this, right? The OptiGate system.
Yeah, it's basically a walkway with lasers and cameras. It analyzes your gait in real time. If you start to shuffle, if your stride shortens, an alarm goes off, it forces you to stay focused. You can't just zone out.
Which brings us to pillar 3, lifestyle. This is where the school idea really comes in, because it's about making choices.
And they use a car analogy here that's, wow, it's a tough lesson.
It is. Reed says a lot of people, after they're diagnosed, try to live at full throttle to prove they're still fine.
But with Parkinson's, your engine is losing horsepower. And if you redline a struggling engine...
You're going to blow a gasket. You'll burn out.
Exactly. Stress is like kryptonite for Parkinson's. It just grains your dopamine. They argue that this denial, trying to do everything you used to, actually makes things worse, faster.
So the lesson isn't just do less.
No, it's choose wisely. It's quality over quantity. You have a finite amount of fuel in the tank each day. You can spend it running around miserable and exhausted, or you can take 2 or 3 things you really love and do them well.
A wonderful 4-hour day is better than a miserable 12-hour day.
That is the shift. And it requires a huge ego check. You have to learn to say no.
Which leads to the 4th and, maybe the most important pillar. Psychology.
This underpins everything. They talk about the Parkinson Outcoast Project, this huge study, and it found that the #1 factor affecting a person's health status, it isn't the tremors, it isn't the stiffness.
It's not the physical symptoms.
No, it's mood and depression.
That's stunning. So how you feel about having Parkinson's is more impactful than the Parkinson's itself.
In terms of your quality of life, yes,
Yeah.
Absolutely. They call it the vortex of apathy. It's a vicious cycle. Parkinson's lowers dopamine. Dopamine is your motivation chemical, so you don't feel like doing anything.
And when you don't do anything,
Yeah.
you just sit on the couch.
You sit on the couch. You stop moving. And when you stop moving, you lose the neuroplasticity. The garden paths get overgrown. The symptoms get worse, which makes you more depressed. And down you go.
So how do you break a chemical cycle? You can't just tell someone with low dopamine to cheer up.
Willpower isn't enough.
Yeah.
So they teach a method to kind of hack the system. They call it ACMA. ACMA.
Okay, let's break it down. A is for accept.
You have to take off the blindfold. You can't fight an enemy you're pretending isn't there. Acceptance is step one.
C is comprehend.
This is the school part. You need to understand the strategy. Why are you biking at 90 RPM? If you don't get the science of BDNF, you're not going to do the hard work.
Is motivate.
Yeah.
Okay, but if the dopamine's low, where does motivation come from?
You have to manufacture it. You build an external reward loop. You link a necessary task to an immediate reward.
This is the gelato method.
It's brilliant, isn't it? You don't go for a walk because it's good for you. That's too abstract.
Yeah.
You go for a walk because at the end of the walk, there is gelato.
I mean, I don't have Parkinson's, but that is a system I can get behind.
It works. You're jump-starting the stalled engine. You're teaching the brain action equals reward.
And the final A is for action.
Right, doing the work. But notice it's the last step. So many people try to jump straight to action, and they fail because they haven't done the first 3 steps.
It's a great framework. But I want to shift to the human side of this place because it's so shaped by the founder, Alexander Reed.
He's such an interesting guy. Not a doctor. He's a businessman who was diagnosed at 43.
So young.
Incredibly young. And he felt the system made him a victim. So his whole philosophy is Parkinson's does not destroy us, it limits us. And you see it in the language they use.
Yes. They refuse to use the word patient.
They hate it. They say guest, or my personal favorite, protagonist.
Protagonist. That's such a powerful word.
It changes everything. A patient is passive. Things are done to you. But a protagonist is the main character. They drive the story. They make the choices.
It puts you back in the driver's seat. They also prefer condition over disease.
I think that's more than just semantics. Disease sounds like you're sick, you're broken. A condition is just a reality you adapt to. It removes the stigma.
And one last piece here. The family. They don't just train the protagonist. The whole family comes.
This is so crucial. A diagnosis hits the whole family. And the natural reaction out of love is to start doing everything for the person. Let me tie your shoes for you.
You kill them with kindness.
The caregiver trap, exactly. If you treat someone like a victim, they become a victim. So the center teaches the family how to be supportive without taking over. How to be cheerleaders, not crutches.
That's a very fine line to walk.
It is. And the setting helps. A spa town in Italy, it signals wellness, not sickness.
So when you pull it all together, we have a school that tells you to treat your brain like a garden, pedal a bike like a maniac to make your own fertilizer, and hack your motivation with gelato.
It's a pretty compelling package. The cure isn't a pill yet, but the treatment, the thing that can give you your life back, is a complete shift in mindset and lifestyle.
It really is that difference between quantity of life and quality of life.
That's the whole thing. Maybe you can't run a marathon anymore, but if you can walk to the park and enjoy the sun without a tremor, that's a huge win. It's finding joy in what you can do.
It's really inspiring stuff.
Yeah.
And it made me think about my own health.
Me too.
Yeah.
And it leaves me with this one big thought. If we accept this garden metaphor for our brains, what does that mean for all of us?
You mean not just people with a diagnosis?
Right. We all have brains that are aging. We all have forests that can get overgrown as we get set in our ways. Are we being active gardeners? Are we still forging new paths, pushing ourselves? Or are we just kind of watching the leaves fall?
That's a good question. Are you the gardener, or are you just a spectator in your own life?
We could all probably use a little more 90 RPM in our lives, metaphorically at least.
I think I'm going to go sign up for that spin class, and then definitely find some gelato.
Sounds like the ACMA method in action.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. We hope it sparked a few new neural pathways for you today. Take care of your gardens, everyone.